Hello, I'm Martin Cherry from XBIM, and this is two parts video for anybody interested in information requirements and automated validation. This first part will be about standards for defining and capturing information requirements. The second part will be about automated validation using information delivery specification. So why do we want to use BIM? Because it brings us benefits. It's highly semantically rich data schema, which creates highly concentrated information packages. The question is how we use the information. Can we use it? Does it help us? Well, if we want to use it, the information has to be reliable. And most of the time, we get what we asked for. We know we got it if we have checked it. And spot check is just not a proper check, right? So we need to ask in the form of requirements, written down, captured in some way, which is what this part of the video is about. And we want to check it. We want automated validation to actually properly make sure that we do have the data we wanted to have where we expect it to be. When we want to capture requirements, these are the basic questions to ask. Who should deliver the information? What is it about? What is the subject of the information? Is it door? Is it window? Is it the floor? Who needs that information? That might be you, might be your client. When do we need that information? That might be described as a milestone, for example. Why do we need it? What is the purpose of that information? And once we define this context, we can actually define what the actual information requirement is. Is it the name? Is it width? Is it color? Is it warranty date? These are effectively 6 dimensions, if you want, which describe it. That's why I put big red cross over the Excel icon, because most of the people will grab their Excel and they will start writing requirements in there. But that is not a great idea, because Excel is a great tool for many things, no doubt, but it's great for 2D, probably 3D modeling, not as in 3D geometry, but when I have like 3 slices of the information. But if you have like 6 dimensions, you need to use to slice and dice, create different views to actually properly define the information in this context. Then Excel is just not a great tool. Don't use it, right? Fortunately, when it comes to requirements, there are several ISO and Building Smart standards which can help you to analyze your organization or project, and will help you to define and capture these requirements. First one, classification, right? That will help you to answer the question, what is it about? Is it door? Is it window? Is it floor? Now this ISO standard describes the framework for classifications, so don't get disappointed. It doesn't describe the classification, but any classification which is created based on this framework will be much easier to use together with BIM data in your authoring environments and throughout the process. Data dictionaries will help you to define terms and definitions. This is for both the classification and for the actual requirements for anything in the project. So this should help your team to actually define terms and definitions. That is not just between languages, that is also between different expert domains within the same language. Information Delivery Manual, IDM, is great for describing processes in organization or in projects. Again, it doesn't describe your project, but it gives you tools and methodology to describe these processes. And this is very useful because it will change the way you and possibly your colleagues view what you actually do. Because sometimes you think you do something and you don't realize that you actually handle some information as an input, as an output, create some documents, etc. So when you're done with this, it will actually help you answer many of the questions I put on the screen before. It will help you to define the actors who actually wants the information, who should deliver the information. It will help you to define the milestone when it is actually needed, what kind of information it is. It doesn't go in depth of the actual requirement, but it will help you define the packages at least. Another important standard, probably most widely known, is ISO 19650, and it describes many other things, but in terms of information requirements, this is probably the most important diagram, because it tells you that once you analyze your organization, once you analyze your project, once you analyze your asset requirements, that all together forms layers of requirements which altogether form your actual information requirements. And that is what you should have captured in some form, which is where we come now. We are coming to the core. With the help of these other standards, you can actually define these requirements. And when you define them, you should capture them. There are two standards you can use actually to capture requirements, and I'll talk about both in a minute. First one is ISO standard, level of information need. The second one is building smart standard information delivery specification. When you have these requirements captured, you can actually use them to create building construction object catalogs, libraries of objects. You can use them to actually create models of the buildings. These might be in data containers, might be in common data environments, CDs, pretty much used across the board now. So level of information need, it has three parts. First one is close to be published as official ISO standard, and it describes very nicely the concepts you should consider. It effectively talks about this 6-dimensional matrix I described at the beginning. You should have reason, you should have actor, actually two, appointed party and appointing party. You should have milestone, you should have breakdown structure. That might be classification or some other way to break your project down. And within that context, you would define your alphanumeric requirements, geometric requirements, and document requirements. That should be enough to define all you need to tell somebody what you actually want to get. Part 2 of this standard will define guidelines and examples, and part 3 is probably most important when it comes to actually store these requirements when you want to actually create a file or something online which is almost tangible, where you can actually store it. Now this part is under development, and it will just become to be an official work item in ISO. So stay tuned, this will probably be very important quite soon. Information delivery specification is driven by the same need as level of information need. It's been developed very quickly because it's not constrained by formal procedures at ISO or SAN and all the votes, etc. It's tightly bound to IFC data schema. It's also related to BCF, which is BIM collaboration format. It doesn't consider geometry or documents like level of information need does. It was developed a lot by developers, who actually made sure that it is well tested by the time it was released. Its documentation even contains abstract test cases for unified interpretation of the validation rules. Very important. That means if you create these requirements in one environment and you run the checks in one tool, you should get the same results if you run that in another tool. So it should be portable. You should be able to share it in your team. At the end of the day, it is stored as one simple file, .its, unsurprisingly. So you can actually share it with other people and you can work with it. It defines all you need. That is it for today. You have your information requirements captured. Well done. If you use all these standards, and there are enough of them to cover your needs, it will definitely help you to understand better what you actually do, what you need, and you should be able to check that the data you are getting is actually reliable. And you can then let the computer to help you with these, with the data. So once you know what you have, you can use it, right? Next time, we'll have a look at how to use information delivery specification for continuous quality control. That's where automated model checking will come in. So stay with us and have a look at the next part.